A man was in an old thrift store looking around when a little girl came up from behind him. "Oh, hello, little girl. I didn't see you sneak up behind me." The little girl smiled and said,
I didn't sneak up behind you. I walked right up to you. I'm sorry if you were not aware of your surroundings.
The man was quite taken aback by the little girl's comments, and he responded, "Little girl, I don't know who your parents are, but when an adult speaks nicely to you, you are supposed to respond in the same manner." The little girl looked up at the man and smiled again.
You're right. You don't know who my parents are. But if you keep it up, you will shortly.
The man took a few steps back from the little girl again, just to observe the situation. He noticed she was dressed quite nicely for this part of the town, so she was probably not from around here. He took a deep breath and then said, "I'm sorry if I offended you or maybe even scared you." The little girl looked back up at the man and said,
Oh, you did not offend me, and you could never scare me. However, you, I'm not too sure of.
The little girl then giggled. The man took some more steps back and then said, "Wow, I can see I underestimated you, little girl, by the way you have chosen to take this chance encounter." The little girl smiled and said,
Oh, it's not by chance. You were chosen.
The man now backpedaled a lot further. He looked at the little girl who was just standing there twirling her ponytails and giggling. "Listen, I don't know what kind of game you're playing, but I'm not interested. In fact, I would like to speak to your parents. Where is your father, young lady? Is he the owner of this store?" The little girl immediately stopped giggling and twirling her ponytails. She then said with a frown,
Yes, he does own the store and a lot more. You wish to speak with my dear father?
The man responded. "Yes, I believe it's time he and I had a nice chat about you." The little girl looked straight into the man's eyes and said,
Okay, you will have your chat, but it will not be a nice one.
The man threw up his hands and yelled, "Kids these days!" All of a sudden the lights went dim, but not all the way out. The man thought it might have been a blown fuse because the store was very old and it didn't look like much work had been done to upkeep it. He then heard a noise coming from the back room, and then someone or something spoke.
So, you have met my daughter, and I understand you now wish to meet me.
The man was shocked over the voice and said, "What is wrong with your voice? Do you have a cold or something?"
Something.
The voice responded.
Yes, something indeed.
The man regained his composure and said, "Sir, I must speak with you about your daughter. I came into this shop to look around, and all of a sudden your daughter came up from behind me. I was startled, so I politely mentioned that she should not sneak up on people. However, my friendly advice was met with rudeness, if I might say so." The voice responded back.
Oh, by all means, say so. It's your life, isn't it?
The man now was taken aback by the girl's father, or at least his voice. "Sir, I would like to speak to you face to face like people do." There was a short silence, and then the girl's father spoke.
I'm sorry, but that's not possible. However, we can continue our... How did you refer to it? Oh yes, our nice chat.
The man was beginning to lose his patience, and he was thinking it might be about time to leave the store. "Now see here, sir, I came into your store to see what hidden treasures you might have from yesteryears. I didn't walk in here looking for an argument, and I definitely didn't come in here to be dressed down by a child. In fact, if you don't apologize, I will leave your store and not give you my money." Again, there was a short silence, and then the girl's father spoke.
On the contrary, you've already given me something. But thanks for looking out for my profit line.
The man was really upset now and said, "No offense, but what the hell are you talking about by saying I already gave you something?" The girl giggled, and then she said,
Father, can I tell him, please?
There was more silence, and then the girl's father spoke.
Yes. I know how happy it makes you, so go right ahead and tell this fine gentleman what he already gave to us. But be nice, don't start laughing.
The man looked at the little girl, and she was not laughing. She was just standing there with a grin on her face and her eyes looking into his. Well, little girl, humor me with what you and your father over there think I already gave to you. This ought to be good. In fact, I'm pretty sure I'll be the one laughing in a minute. The little girl looked back into the man's eyes and then said,
Sir, do you remember when the lights went dim and you made a joke about my father being cheap and not keeping the shop up to date? What were you looking at when the lights went dim?
The man thought for a second and then said, I don't know what I was looking at. I was just standing there in a corner next to one of the many shelves you have. I think I had an old toy soldier in my hand. Yeah, I do remember now. It reminded me of a toy I had when I was a child. There was a small hole in the bottom where you put in the water so a rifle could act like a water pistol. They don't make toys like that anymore because they were all made of metal and it would cost way too much money today. Plus, they always rusted out from the water in them. So to answer your question, yeah, I remember where I was and what I was looking at. What about it? The little girl raised her left arm and pointed to where the man was standing a few minutes ago. The man followed the girl's arm and looked exactly where he was standing before the lights went dim. The metal toy soldier was there on the floor in a puddle of water, next to an old outlet that had a frayed wire dangling onto the floor on top of the cap that keeps the water from coming out of the metal soldier.
Feel free to laugh any time now, sir, or whenever you feel like it, because Daddy and I have all the time in the world. Oh, and sir, it appears now so do you.
You've just heard The Ole Thrift Store. It was written by John J. Ruppert, December 23rd, 2019. It was recorded, spoken, and effects added by John J. Ruppert, December 24th, 2019. Till we meet again, be safe and be creative.
Spoke. I'm sorry, but that's not possible. However, we can continue our... How did you refer to it? Oh yes, our nice chat. The man was beginning to lose his patience, and he was thinking it might be about time to leave the store. Now see here, sir. I came into your store to see what hidden treasures you might have from yesteryears. I didn't walk in here looking for an argument, and I definitely didn't come in here to be dressed down by a child. In fact, if you don't apologize,
The metal
I will
toy
leave your
soldier was
store
there
and
on
not
the
give you
floor
my money.
in a puddle of water, next to an old outlet
Again,
that had a frayed wire
there was a
dangling
short
onto the floor
silence, and then
on
the
top of
girl's
the
father
cap
spoke.
that keeps the water from coming out of the metal soldier.
On the contrary, you've already
Feel
given
free to
me
laugh
something.
any time now, sir,
But thanks for
or
looking
whenever
out for my
you
profit
feel like
line.
it, because Daddy and I have all the time in the
Man
world.
was really upset
Oh,
now
and
and
sir,
said,
it appears
no
now
offense,
so do
but
you.
what the hell are you talking about by saying I already gave you something?
You've just heard The Ole
The girl
Thrift Store.
giggled,
It was
and then
written
she
by
said,
John J. Ruppert, December
Father,
23rd, 2019.
can I tell him,
It was recorded,
please?
spoken, and effects added by John J. Ruppert, December
There was more
24th,
silence,
2019.
and then the girl's
Till
father
we meet
spoke.
again, be safe and be creative.
Yes, I know how happy it makes you, so go right ahead and tell this fine gentleman what he already gave to us. But be nice, don't start laughing. The man looked at the little girl, and she was not laughing. She was just standing there with a grin on her face and her eyes looking into his. Well, little girl, humor me. With you and what you're... fuck. Trying now. Well, little girl, humor me with what you and your father over there think I already gave to you. This ought to be good. In fact, I'm pretty sure I'll be the one laughing in a minute. The little girl looked back into the man's eyes and then said, Sir, do you remember when the lights went dim and you made a joke about my father being cheap and not keeping the shop up to date? What were you looking at when the lights went dim? The man thought for a second and then said, I don't know what I was looking at. I was just standing there in a corner next to one of the many shells you have. I think I had an old toy soldier in my hand. Yeah, I do remember now. It reminded me of a toy I had when I was a child. There was a small hole in the bottom where you put in the water so a rifle could act like a water pistol. They don't make toys like that anymore because they were all made of metal and it would cost way too much money today. Plus they always rusted out from the water in them. So to answer your question, yeah, I remember where I was and what I was looking at. What about it? The little girl raised her left arm and pointed to where the man was standing a few minutes ago. The man followed the girl's arm and looked exactly where he was standing before the lights went dim. The metal toy soldier was there on the floor in a puddle of water, next to an old outlet that had a frayed wire dangling onto the floor on top of the cap that keeps the water from coming out of the metal soldier. Feel free to laugh any time now, sir, or whenever you feel like it, because Daddy and I have all the time in the world. Oh, and sir, it appears now so do you. You've just heard The Ole Thrift Store. It was written by John J. Ruppert, December 23rd, 2019. It was recorded, spoken, and effects added by John J. Ruppert, December 24th, 2019. Till we meet again, be safe and be creative.